Hi, my name is Zach Johnson. I'm going to be talking about the two nature cams that I watched today. The first nature cam was of a hummingbird nest, and then the second one was of a bald eagle's nest in the Channel Islands National Park. When it came to selecting these two nature cams, there was no reason for the hummingbird cam, which I found on explore.org. It just happened that when I clicked the link to that website, that was the nature cam that was front and center, and I just decided to watch that because it was already available. But for the bald eagle nature cam, I found that one in the article of the 25 best animal cams, and I picked the bald eagle because I'm a bit fascinated with bald eagles. But when it came to what I was expecting, I was just expecting animals to be going about their normal routine in their natural habitat, and that was exactly what I saw for the hummingbird nature cam. It was birds just kind of going about the daily routine. The mama bird was feeding the hatchlings, and then it went off to likely find some more food. And the hatchlings were just kind of messing around, playing with their feathers, and just kind of moving around in the nest. While the bald eagle in its nest, it was eating its lunch and then occasionally looking around, just seeing what was going on. When I was watching these cams, I felt a mixture of weirdness and intrigue. With the intrigue, it was mainly just me feeling interested in just seeing what these birds are doing, what the world is like around them, and just kind of how are they reacting to the world around them. And then with the hatchlings, they were just kind of just sitting there waiting for mama bird to come back. And with the bald eagle, it was constantly monitoring, surveying the land. But as the more I was watching, the more weird I felt, and that was because I realized I was becoming intrusive, especially with the bald eagle, because the bald eagle would occasionally and quite frequently poke its head back up and keep looking around, almost like it was feeling threatened by something. And to me, I interpreted that as the bald eagle knew it was being watched. And for me, I would have like those oh no moments because the bald eagle would sometimes snap its head up and it'd be pointing directly towards the nature cam. And at times it made me feel like the eagle's looking right at me. And it's like, it's like it's thinking the watcher's probably there. I'm just not sure. And so it's just keeping looking around, trying to determine where the threat is and how to react to it. And it's like I could almost empathize with the eagle in that situation because if I was in my home or my house and I could feel someone was watching me or that I could feel threatened, I would be looking around trying to figure out, who's watching me, where are they watching me from, and what's the threat, and how do I react? And I could kind of really sympathize with the eagle in that situation. But there were also times when I was in awe, and it was with the hatchlings. I was just kind of nice and kind of cute watching them just kind of play around with each other as they waited for the mama bird to come back to the nest. And with the bald eagle, it was just kind of awesome to just kind of see the eagle just kind of stand very stoically and just be very rigid as it was looking around and just surveying the land. And it was just it was a very picturesque kind of image to see on the camera. But as I was watching the nature cam and reviewing my notes, I was making some connections back to what we were discussing in the previous module with our reading from Under Surveillance, and especially with the three questions that were in the reflection discussion board. For the first question about do we really want a world in which everything is mapped, monitored, and accessible, I would say I'm still mixed. And when it comes with the nature cams specifically, I would say, we get the benefit of, we get to see, the wild, from the comfort of our home. We get to bring the wilderness back home so that we don't have to, get up and get out of our houses to see what the world is like around us. We get to see small pockets of it from the comfort of home with just a few, keystrokes on our phone. But at the same time, as we're doing this and watching these nature cams, we're intruding on these animals, natural habitats. And with the eagle, I kind of realized, the eagle is reacting to this, and it's reacting to this in a negative way. And that's why it made me think, even with nature cams, the benefit, I guess, or the net result, it's still in that gray area between bad and good. And I can't really make a judgment either way without having reservations about it. But on the next question about, do we want a world in which the wild is forced to shed its secrets? I still say no. What makes the wild truly wild is that its secrets are kept. Even with for instance, with the bald eagle cam, there were times when I was just looking around just at the landscape around the nest, and it's just like, wow, I want to see what's past that mountain ridge. I want to see what's below the nest. I just want to see what kind of tree this nest is in. And if I knew all that information, I would just it would feel like, the ending of the movie was spoiled for me. There's no mystery for me to pursue. And that's what makes the wild so tantalizing and so interesting and so appealing to us, is that there's this innate mystery in it. And it's the experience of trying to unravel that mystery and find you know, and solve the riddle that makes, going out into the wild such an adventure and such an enjoyable experience for us. And if all those secrets are just revealed on Facebook, YouTube, and everything, the wild, doesn't become so interesting anymore, and it just kind of loses its special quality. And on that note, to the final question, about why the transformation of the wild feels like it's not really up for the public to debate. I would say that, again, the nature cams really kind of serve as a bit of an example of this, because with the bald eagle nature cam, I saw that it was being provided by this scientific research organization, and they were likely using the footage from this nature cam to study the bald eagle, to kind of collect data about the bird and its natural environment, and just kind of seeing, what the bird's doing, try to make, assumptions, and trying to, test certain hypotheses without really having to go out into the field and, experiment on the bird or its environment itself. And there's a lot of valuable data that can be collected from watching this bird, watching what it does, seeing how changes in the environment appear, and what changes with the bird, and how, the bald eagle adapts to those changes. There's a lot of valuable information that can be taken from that. However, something I realized was that if we're so willing to allow, the scientists to do that, even though it's for research and academic purposes, which are still very important, Google and the other big tech companies are going to want to swoop in and say, hey, we want to do our own things out in the wild. And most people will be willing to let them do that, because, we let the scientists do that. It's not fair to say no to, these other corporations that want to do things out in the wild and out in the field. But the key distinction that I've been noticing is that these scientists and these researchers, they're doing it strictly for academic purposes. They're not doing it for the same reasons that, Google and all these other companies are doing it. And that's because they're doing it for a profit. And that's the important distinction. And the reason why we don't really feel like we have a say in that is because we're very complacent with letting these for-profit businesses do their thing, because we're constantly amazed by the different, services, gadgets, and gizmos that they turn out, that we kind of lose focus about what's really going on. So in conclusion, in watching the nature cams, I was very much expecting what I saw was very much what I was expecting to see. I saw birds. I saw the birds, going about their daily routine and living in their natural habitat as they normally would. And along the way, I made some pretty interesting, realizations about the wild, and kind of how, and I guess its place and its meaning in our modernizing world.